Hi. Taking the intro to JavaScript, not your parental figure's JavaScript, with me, Mark Brown II, my lovely TA, Natassja Linzau, and featuring the one and only Queen Beyonce. Okay, let's get right into it. Technical. Who's second? AKA me. I'm a front-end developer here at the Department of Commerce in the Commerce Data Service. I'm a lover of Node.js. I'm a practitioner of CrossFit, a higher education policy, and a worshiper of Beyonce, clearly. A little background, the Commerce Data Academy is a data education initiative through the Department of Commerce. We give out classes like these on engineering, on design, on development to DOC employees. The course schedule and materials, including our class next Tuesday on the 4th on Intro to APIs, can be found on our website, dataacademy.commerce.gov. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write us at dataacademy@doc.gov. Can be found at this link. If any post yet, I greatly suggest that you do that. For today, by the end of today's class, I hope to understand front-end versus back-end engineering, learn the JavaScript data types, recognize arrays versus objects, implement looping, and be able to write functions. And make a friend. I want you to look to the person to your right, and I want you to tell them your name, where you work, and your favorite type of cheese. If you're lactose intolerant, you tell them what your favorite snack is. And go. Like, yeah. Like right now. So front end versus back end. Does anyone have an idea about what front end engineering is? Come on. Just try. Like, what do you think? Anything? Would love this. Anyone have any other things? Come on, guys. I don't promise. Here's what the browser displays. I love that. Anyone else? Correct. What? So the development of client/browser code, right? Typically things HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which you're learning today, and typically what the browser sees and interacts with. So it's the web page that you see when you click .com and something comes up. So front end, what do you think back end engineering is? What? Okay. In the function. Else?
definitely the CS, but maybe like PHP that you wouldn't be able to see or right-click and inspect on.
Yeah, so the harder, we don't say harder because we don't make hierarchies between front and back end engineering. We're all engineers. But yes, things in the back end, the functions, PHP, things like that. Anyone else? Data of this. Anyone else? So, right, look at you all, y'all are on it. So, this is the development of the server-side code, and it handles things like data handling, routing, databases. It's written in things like Java, Python, Ruby, Node.js, Express, and it is the stuff behind the scenes that make our web pages and web applications work. So, walking through this, so what is routing? Routing is making sure that when you type google.com, that goes to one place, google.com/images goes to a different one, google.com/images/Beyonce goes to a different web page. Okay. Data is so when you fill out a form and you press submit somewhere, that's all the code that you've put in and puts it in a database somewhere. One, it validates, so like making sure that a phone number is a number, is a bunch of numbers, not a bunch of letters, that sort of validation. And it always, again, deal with databases. So if you go to Amazon and you do things, you put them in your checkout thing and you use your browser, and you come back later and it's there, it's because the server has gone back, found your account, and brought all that information for you in your browser. Another analogy people will give is that if you think about a house, so the drywall is HTML, the S is the paint, which are like windows that you open and close because you interact with them, door handles and things like that, and then back to things like plumbing, electrical, the electricity, things like that you don't see, but allows for your house to run the way that you'd like. A history of JavaScript, really fast. It was created in 10 days in May 1995 by Brent Ike, who's currently at Brave Software. Originally called Mocha, then it was called LiveScript, then it was called JavaScript. Theme was a marketing tool. So when JavaScript was trying to get popular, it changed from LiveScript to JavaScript because Java at that moment was the most popular programming language. So please understand that JavaScript does not have a relationship with Java. Yes. It was standardized in 1996 and 1997 via ECMA, which is the European Computer Manufacturers Association. ECMA is the standard by which JavaScript must abide. So JavaScript is an implementation of ECMA. The official release is ECMA-262:ECMA script, also called ES. It is in web browsers. So every your browser, when it gets HTML, CSS, and JS, each browser has a different way of loading your JS. So if you're using Chrome or Opera, V is the engine that runs your JavaScript. If you're using Safari, it's Nitro. Firefox is SpiderMonkey. If you're using Internet Explorer, it is JScript 9.0. So to be fair, JavaScript is also known as JS. They're the same thing, they're synonymous. JS is a standard, and JavaScript is an implementation of ECMA or ES. And because there are other types of languages that are similar, that work by the ES standard, that are not JavaScript, such as ActionScript is one that you'll hear sometimes. JavaScript is another one that you'll hear sometimes. So while they are very, very, very similar, they are not equivalent. Also, sometimes you'll hear that JavaScript is referred to as ES plus the version number. So ES5 is the JavaScript that's running your browser right now. You'll also hear of something called ES6, which is the most current one. It's not in all browsers. So typically, if you write in that, you'd need to have another program that then takes your code and makes it readable for most browsers. So let's get to it. Yay. Okay, informative conversation statements. This lecture, I like lectures. No one enjoys lectures. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Maybe you do. My bad. I do not. So this is an informative conversation. I'm going to present you with information, and I expect you to give me a feedback loop. So there are stupid questions. Ask questions often. Please along with me. There'll be moments where I will get on my computer, and if you want to type along with me, that's great. Practice makes perfect. And lastly, I love questions. So, for example, there's a question for me right now, like anything. Anything. Ooh. My favorite Beyonce song is, and that is Rude One. And ooh, song for Daddy on her first album, Dangerously in Love. Not a good look. Not a good look. And in fact, you get candy. See, you get rewarded. Oh, sorry. Ooh, this is a good catch. So ask questions because you get things. Isn't it amazing? Yes. Okay. Everyone, repeat after me. I make mistakes. Okay. Things wrong. I mean, sir. Fail. This is important because I can tell you as a programmer, you will spend the majority of your time failing over and over and over and over. As this cartoon says, you will spend 2.5 hours looking for an error thinking that you are stupid. It is literally a semicolon. Like, you know that it's okay, that does not make you a bad programmer, that you know how to code. Just know that it happens. The second cartoon clearly speaks to the fact that when you're learning, the first time you get it right, it's awesome and it's amazing and you're so proud. And then as you continue building huge programs, when it works the first time, you are very skeptical and you do not believe that it is true. Why? Because you are used to failure and that is how this works. But it's amazing. Question? Yes?
How have you been using JavaScript?
I did it for 2.5 years of my life. Hopefully you downloaded the code from the repo. And so all I want you to do is find that folder on your Mac or PC, open it in your code editor. That can be Sublime or Atom or any other thing. And then I want you to drag the index.html file to your browser icon if that's a Mac, so drag. Or PC, you can just double-click index.html. You know that you will have done it correctly when your web page looks like this. I don't play games. Are you in there? You good? Cool, everyone. You want to? Forward, you have two options when dealing with JavaScript for course. Use a console on your web browser, right? So on the screen that you have, or you can use jsbin.com. Which is what we just opened. What you're going to do is you're going to right-click on it, and there should be an option that says Inspect. Right? And when you click Inspect, it should launch your dev tools, as we call them. Everyone good? Also, these same tools are known as Inspector on Firefox or is known as Dragonfly on Opera. If you're using the browser, you want to right-click on both, click Inspect, and it should launch your tool. I said it's to use jsbin.com, so you would go to jsbin.com, and I will show you. So you're going to go to .com. You're going. Oh, we already did that. So you want to unselect HTML, unselect CSS, select JavaScript, and console, so that it looks like this. Either option. Everyone good so far? Awesome. Okay, script. Let's talk about its data type. A data type is. Yeah. An integer type, yes. That is type, but what do you think a data type is? So it is a type of data type, but what is a data type itself? It is a data that I like it. Anyone? So type is a classification identifying one of various types of data, one of which is integers, right? So there are different types in JavaScript. There's integers, booleans, arrays, objects, null, and undefined. So the strings. Strings are textual data. They must be surrounded by double or sometimes single quotes and lists of characters. What's important about this is that spaces are characters in strings. They are zero indexed. Example strings include those below. So it's the double quotation marks and hello, double quotation marks 5, double quotation marks, these brackets, key, comma, value, and also this kittens. So you see it as a number, it's technically a string because it's surrounded by double quotes. So zero index. So every character in a string has an index. And the computer uses that index to reference the individual character, and it starts with 0. So when we naturally start counting, we go 1, 2, 3. The computer starts at 0. So what it means, so when we look at the string kitten, x is 0. Index is 1. Index is 4. Questions are making sense? Good. So if you look at this string, well, this string, how do we know it's a string? That's right. So look at this string, single ladies. What index for G? So there's the index for A. Eight. So does space itself have an index? Great. What is index? 6. What is the index of the first S in this string? 0. And what is the index of the second E? It is awesome. Everybody how index works? Oh. So, move on. First. Numbers have two different types. There's integers and there's floats, which we will address next. So integers are whole numbers that have no decimals. They have a delimiter, and so there's a character that is used as a boundary in a data stream, right? So we typically write 1 million, right? We write 1, 0, 0, comma. That comma in 1 million is a delimiter because it separates the 1 from the next 3 zeros, right? So every time we add that, integers in JavaScript do not have delimiters. So when you write 1 million, do not use the comma. It'll freak out the computer. Also, as you'll find later, not a number is a number in JavaScript. Examples of integers include 42, -3. That number I wrote, I don't know what that is. So the numbers with decimals and have no delimiter. So examples include 4.5, -1.33333, that third ridiculous number that I wrote, and 3.141592. Candy goes to the person who can tell me what that is. Amazing, that's right, it's pi. You're amazing. These three include Boolean, null, and undefined. So Boolean is literally just the value of true or false. Null is essentially something that doesn't exist. And undefined is a variable without value. We'll discuss that to variables, but just know that null and undefined exist. So an array is an ordered collection of data that can have mixed data types, and the delimiters that are used are the square brackets, which are used to open and close an array, and a comma that is used to separate items within an array. So, for example, one which is one array. How do we know one array? Because it's just one set of square brackets that opens and closes it. Two arrays because you have an open and closed brackets with a comma between them, and then close brackets. And the third one, as I said, because it can have mixed data types, is array within array, right? So we have an open bracket, its values, closed, comma, comma, and it's the first one also ends. Does that make sense? Awesome. Unordered collections of data that also have mixed data types, but the difference is that they work off of key value pairs. So the delimiters used for objects are these particularly squarely brackets, which open and close. You have a comma that is used to separate the key from the value, and comma which is used to separate different objects and key value pairs in objects. So again, looking at our examples, you have these squarely brackets, which let us know that it's an object, and you have name, which is the key, and unsafe, which is the value. Numbered is the key. 195 is the again, as I mentioned, you can have mixed data types within objects. So, for like an example, you have an object because you have curly brackets, and you have albums, which is the key, and its value is a what data type? You won't like any of this. You know it's an array. All right, you all are doing so great. And within that array, how many items do we have? 3. I'm killing it. And what data type are these elements? String. How do you know that they're strings? Oh, you all are doing so good at this. This is amazing. So, continuing on, we have operators in JavaScript that you'll use. Most of them from math, so you have the subtraction, which subtracts numbers, the /, which divides numbers, the asterisk, which multiplies, and there are 2 more. What do you think they are? equivalency, which we'll get to later, but yes, just simple operators. Anyone? Okay, yeah, get excited. So the plus sign, as was mentioned, has two functions. Its numbers and concatenate strings, which means it will put two strings together. And the percent sign, which is the modulus, and this return remainders from division. So JSBin or to your console, either one which makes you very happy. You should know about console versus JSBin. If you do anything in JSBin, you will need to use console.log parentheses, okay? If you're using your browser, you won't do that. You can just type regular, you shouldn't do that, but type in and automatically print out. So I'm going to use JSBin because it's the online one in case someone didn't choose to use it. So console.log plus 5, oh, that is not a 3. Get 8, exactly. If I do 3 minus 5, -2. Love it. 3 times 5, 15. Great. Familiar to you? So the one that we discussed, the modulus, so if I do 5, 5, 3, I think I'm going to get. Remember, this is the remainder from a division. If I, well, not bad. Clear this. Exactly. The reason sometimes see modulus used is that if you want to do some sort of data validation, you can do things like figure out if things are even or odd, right? I do something 11 divided by 2 is going to it's not even, right? Also, you can use this to see if something is divisible by any number. So if I did 15 modulus 5, I get 0. So I then know that 15 is a multiple of 5. It's just a really fun and interesting part of JavaScript. It's something for you to know. I mentioned I'm going to give you a few things to play with. So there's console.log, which is a function, which we've talked about already. It returns the value of a function to the console. To use it, as shown, use the computation you want in between the parentheses. So in this example, I put the string, quote, hello. If I put that in the browser, it's going to spit back hello to me. Of is a type of operator. So just like the plus sign, minus sign, and the asterisk, you can use it. And it tells you the type of data of an input. So if you type, so to use it, you put type of, you get space, and you put the value that you want to evaluate. So for this example, I do type of space, and then do these curly brackets, which is a what? What are those brackets? Object. We have charact, which is character add. It is a built-in method of JavaScript. It tells you at a given index in a string. So in order to use that, you write out the string you want using your double quotation marks, and then use character add and the index you want. So if I do string video phone dot character add, what's back? It's all good. So, what question am I going to tell me? What's your question? Oh, let's count it out. So character just starts so again. So remembering that strings are 0 index. So V is 0, Y, D is 2, E is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this at H. Does that make sense? Again, strings are 0 index. It's not like our natural counting, so you have to remember that. Code along, yes! Everyone get excited! Oh, I love questions. Cat is something you could if you tell someone like, I want you to only give me a string that's 5 characters long, you could check. So like a massive array of things, and you're just like, I want to see if this is 5. If you've given everything as 5 characters, you can check to say like, if the character at 5 is defined, all this is good, right? It goes into data validation. So a lot of these things we use for data val isn't something that you'd like naturally. Yeah, I totally want to see what's at the 3rd character in that string. That's not so much. No. It's all like JavaScript language has built-in methods that are just kind of just for fun. Like they may not have a particular use all the time. But yeah, sorry. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna go do our favorite code along. So we're gonna start. Mark. What am I gonna? Mark. Love it. Do what am I gonna? Huh? It's in. Lovely. If I run, I think is going to happen. Good job, man. See, exactly. I get an error. Exactly. Why do you think I get an error? Exactly. Love this. You want to use type of. So you type in space and something that you want. So again, we'll just use the name. String. Love it. What am I? Which I will explain later, but it is array. Cool. So if we use last one, so if we want to say mark dot cat, what should I back? A, exactly. This works. Any questions? Great. Now it's your turn. So I'm 5 minutes to go these exercises. Let me know if you have any questions. Good? Yes, question. Yes. Yes. Okay, I'll help you out. No problem. Any other questions? Cool. Bye. Oh, we're back. Oh, good question. Huh? Yes. So write an array, and you want to use a number. Why don't you have to use quote? Because strings and numbers operate differently. So, for example, as you will, let me see. Essentially, the answer is because JavaScript. Don't do that. JavaScript can't use character at on a number, for example, because it's not a string. And also, JavaScript won't let you do. If I do something, what do you think is going to happen? Huh? Okay, it's right. So that worked. It typically doesn't. Don't ask me why. Script called type coercion. Oh, I think this is what it is. This is what I meant to do. Boom. So 5 is a string, and 3 is a number. And 8, well, the issue is that JavaScript right now thinks that 5 is a string. So it, what we call coercion, it assumes, because it's a plus sign, and with plus you can concatenate strings, right? I can do because of strings, as I mentioned, right? You put 2 strings together, makes 1. It immediately converts 3 into a string and makes 53, rather than doing what you want. So use the double quotes on strings. What can potentially happen is that JavaScript will coerce your stuff before you know it, and then 30 lines of code later, you're like, oh my goodness, it thinks a number or it thinks it's a string. I don't need that right now. So that's why the strings that's why data types are important, because particular data types operate differently in JavaScript. Does that make sense? Is that a question? Awesome. Any love questions? Questions? Also, you kind of what some of the solutions look like on both platforms. Again, log my name. It comes out. Type of string. Type of 7. The number. And kids, get excited. Look. So what is front-end engineering? Yeah, love it. Script and S equivalents? No. Great. Yeah. Yes. I need you to raise your hand because I realize I can't do twice at once. But that's also because I realize that. Okay. The difference is between integers and floats. Yes, a whole number and a can have decimals. That is right. Is with quotation marks the same as 5 without? Yes. No, and why is it not the same thing? Yes, makes it a string, and 5 without strings is a number. Yes, great job. True and false are what type of data? Clay. No worries. What is between an array and an object? An object has anything else? And yes. Anything else? You're doing a great job. Does anyone tell me about like the braces maybe? Like you distinguish between the two of them when you look at it? Anyone? Want to run with it? Yes. Object array has. Yes, square. I love it. Great. True. I have mixed data types in my array. Hands. Yes. Yes. Candy, your hands. I'm the worst thrower. Let's be clear about this. I'm going to own my part in this situation. How a data type using my computer? Great. Use correct. What character at do? Yes, ma'am. In terms of a character, that is right. Didn't bring up, and I apologize. So, character is native to JS, which I may have mentioned. Native simply means that it is something that is built into the language, right? So we're here to learn how to write code that does special things for us. Things that are native to JS are things that you can immediately call on without having to write anything, right? So character at is native to JS because you don't have to say anything to say like, here's a string, buy me this number, pass it back to me. You just simply said, here's our string, use this method, here's this index, do what I want. Awesome. We have variables. Variables are used to store information to a computer's memory for future use. Use variables, there are 3 steps. Declaration, there's the ending, and there's the calling. You declare both by using the keyword var, in example, var my name. When you assign the variables any type of value, including arrays, objects, functions, anything. So in this example, you have var and name, my name, equals mark. You have assigned the value my name, the value mark. When you do this, it is always practice to use a semicolon. So when you want to access its value, use the variable name, not value itself, and it returns undefined if the variable isn't assigned a value. So for example, in early when I did console.log mark and it freaked out and was like, I don't know what that is. That was at that point I hadn't declared a variable named mark. So it was looking for a variable that didn't exist. So it passed back as undefined. Does that make sense? Yes. So, doing some fun code log just to show you. So we have a variable. How do we define? How do we declare a variable? We use the keyword var, and then we give it a name. Right? Sign it by giving it a value with a semicolon. And if you want that variable back, we call it. So we can use const.log name. Boom. Yes. And objects. I did what do you mean by ordered? Right, so arrays, similar to strings, are zero indexed, right? So of data has an index, essentially value, and it is zero index. It's the same thing we did as strings. So the first element in an array has an index of 0, the second element 1, the third one 2. Objects are indexed, but without using an order value. They are based on their key value pairs, right? So the key, remember, was the first thing, was the first string, colon, what the value was after it. So going back to arrays again, so they're used to store data. They consist of elements, they are indexed, and we changed, deleted, and added. And then similar to strings, the way to get the value in an array, you have the array name, you have the square brackets, and the index number that you want. So, for example, we look over here on this page. How there's a variable on this page? Exactly, I love it. Does that our first variable that you see, does it have a name? First variable on this page, does it have a name? Yes. No. Beyonce. So the Beyonce, Beyonce are in the array, but the variable itself is named names. Remember, you declare a variable by using the keyword and giving it the name. It's value. So we have a variable because we see the keyword and we know that as a name called names. Is it assigned a value? Yes. Great. This is assigned a value. Because you see an equal sign and some sort of value on the other side. That's exactly right. So going this, so if you see names, so again, as we said, to get the value of an array, you say array name in the index. So here we have the array name, which is names, index of 0, and it passes us back the string the array. Signed names, but it gives me back what? Job. Okay, continuing on. Looking at this next variable, what is its name? Sailor, right. And is it assigned a value? Well, how do you? Exactly. So Sailor names with an index of 2 is what? Mars with an index of 0 is Sims with an index of 3, index of 0 gives you what? No. Bean? No. What'd you say? 0, 1. Yes. Oh my goodness, that's exactly right. So when you see things like this, when you see these doubles, this works. Remember from strings, this says, okay, I want this array, give me the index of 3. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's on Venus. And then you say, give me the index of 0 on that would be V. Does that make sense? Yeah. Awesome. So with that in mind, names with an index of 1 and then a further index of 6 gives you what? It is. That is exactly right. Why is it R? Jupiter, great. Index. Exactly. Any far? Yes. What's up? Yes. Case sensitive. So for example, if you use type of, capitalize the O, which I did to help someone, it back that there's a big old error. I'm mistake, and that's because JavaScript is case sensitive. Awesome question. Any questions? You built-in methods. What does built-in mean? Yes, great job. Love it. And what does that mean, though? That you love it. So these methods on arrays, with arrays of these certain built-in methods that include place, reverse, to string, and length. And I'm going over all of them with you right now, and a lovely code along. Yes. From mine. The Chrome console. You technically don't have to use the keyword bar, but it is a horrible practice, and that is because of a thing called scope. Scoping we won't go over today in particular when you talk about functions, but if you don't use the keyword var, Java takes that variable and puts it at the top of your function, right? And so at the top of your JS, as we'll get into later, if you call two functions that manipulate that variable, it's going to always assume that its original value is the one that's way at the top rather than the one you've computed before. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but the point is, do you need to use it? No. Is it the best practice? Yes, and you will soon see why that is the best practice. So yeah, awesome question. Okay, now getting into our lovely code along. So if you repo and you go to main.js, I have a bunch of things here. So the first one we're going to do is Beyonce songs. Paste that either into your console or into JS bin. So, yeah, repo, and the thing you downloaded, I see a bunch of things. There's like index.html, there's my PowerPoint, there's main.js, and you want JS. And if you open it in Sublime, it looks like this. If you're in Atom, it may look differently. And there's one that says, use this one for copy and paste. You want to paste that one. You could also just make up an array that you want. I'm just using this one because I've made it. The link I showed you before on GitHub, and if you just go to main.js, it'll show you that file, so you can just copy it from there in case you didn't download it. So you okay? Great. So, a variable. Yes, you have a variable. Exactly. Does it name? Yes, name. Is assigned a value? Yes, assigned a value. Because it's exactly. Its value is its data type. Exactly. How knows that it's an array? Because it's exactly doing a great job. And that inside that array, what are their data types? Know that? Because you all are rock stars. Love this. Okay, so question, yes. I might have used double or single quotes as long as you're consistent. I have found that JSBin is a little picky about why I've been using double quotes. It doesn't hurt to stick with double quotes. Yeah, typically it does not matter. Yeah, good. So looking at some of the methods we can use, so we have our array Beyonce songs, and let's say we find out how many things are inside of this array. We do that log the name of our array dot length. Five. Resentment, formation, irreplaceable, listen, and count down. Right, so wow. That you wanted to put all these things in reverse. We have a method that is native to JavaScript that is reverse. So the log the name of the array reverse with the parentheses. So tell me what you think that the toString method is going to do. Yes. Convert, maybe. You're correct. Let's say you only want 3 elements in this array. It's by Beyonce bracket 0 plus Beyonce songs bracket 1 Beyonce bracket 2. So there's a method called the split. And what it does is that the beginning index of where you want to start and the index of where you want to end. But where you end does not include that value. So, for example, in Beyonce songs dot if I'm 3, I'm on the 0 index because that's the one I want. And then I want formation, which is 2. I want replaceable, which is 3. So end on listen, which is 4, because it doesn't include the one where you stop. Also. I did that wrong. There we go. And 4, you'd have to do those indexes in particular. Or you could build a method, or you could build a function that could do that for you if you passed in the index that you wanted. But natively, at where we are right now, you'd have to just do Beyonce songs bracket 0 plus Beyonce songs bracket 4. Great. So continuing on, so we have things, we are going to continue with objects. Data And it consists of key value pairs, right? Which is key, and then a value. Right? Like arrays, data can be added, deleted, and changed. But unlike arrays, it does not matter in objects because they're indexed by the key. How do you things? So with arrays, we did the index, right? We did the array name, brackets that we want. With the same thing, but replacing that with the key, right? Object name, square brackets, key equals the value. So for example, if we look at this example, bar new object equals this object. If I do object name, I'm going to get back mark bracket, the string. With that in mind, if I do new object, and when you use keys, it is best to use quotation marks. You don't have to. You use quotation marks when your key is a number or any sort of special characters like an underscore or a hyphen, an ampersand, and things like that, because the computer is going to interpret those differently. So with in mind, if I do new object, brackets, quotation position, what am I going to get back? Develop correctly. You access the object through a thing called dot notation. Subject name dot the key equals the value. So with that, if I do new object dot employer, what do I get back? That's correct. You use this exact same way to access values, the way that you set them. So let's say I wanted to add a characteristic such as hair, right? You do new object dot hair equals the string natural, and it would automatically add it to my object. Any questions? So more practice. So it is new object dot position brackets 1. Excuse me? Almost. So you object dot position, which is developer, and brackets would say it is exactly because it looks at the string and says the character that is at position 1, and it is the E. Similar, new object dot employer dot character at 2 gives me what? It was space, and I was wrong. Thank you. See, you didn't see that? That was amazing. Even I got tricked. Yes, it's actually the letter G. So, sorry. New object dot position, index 1 is at G because space. I see that, and I apologize. So with you all's great eyes, new object dot employer dot character at 2 gives me what? Gives you exactly. So I want you to make sure that you get this. So looking at this, again, do we have variables on this page? How do we know? Because we have names. Are values. Yes. So what is practice with an index of 2? C++. Angular JS. Practice with the brackets with the index of 3. Exactly. How to get the length of practice array? Length. That is right. Awesome. This object, what are the keys in this object? Remember in pairs, you have the key, colon, value. Exactly. Develop language, data type, and bureaus. What are you of practice object key of language? Exactly. And how do you get to the value of NIST? Bracket 2. Practice object, bureaus, brackets 2. Exactly. Make sense? In. Having that, you can now say, repeat after me, all arrays are objects. Are not arrays. And what? No. Because not also ordered, exactly. And what did you say, ma'am? Because all arrays are not key pairs, exactly. Because technically arrays have key value pairs, but they're the index, right? That's what we use to get those elements. And same way with objects, we use the key, right? So arrays are just objects, but they're with particular functions that JavaScript has built into them. So break for 5 minutes. We've been going for a while. Oh. Next thing we'll do. So JSON is JavaScript object notation. It's a data object that consists of attribute key pairs. And it's packed from AJAX calls, which are calls to APIs, which are application program interfaces. And it's based off of JavaScript, but it can be used by Python, Ruby, any number of other languages. I bring this up because this is one of the things you hear about all the time is like, we build API, right? So you build API, all that does is when someone types in, usually, a URL to their browser, it goes to a server and a database and gives you the information that you want handed back to you in terms of JSON. So with mine, I wanted you to start a problem set. So if you look in the repo again, there's going to be a lovely document called docapi.json that looks like this. Again, you can go to the GitHub repo. So if you go, so if you're in the doc API, it looks great. So is for you to take the next 5 minutes and do that API and answer these questions for me. So here's here's the question. So who wants to tackle the first one for me? How to tags from the first object in the data array? Anyone? Use the data tags. That's one. Exactly. Data bracket 0 dot tags. And why do you add the brackets? Yeah, the brackets. Why wasn't it data dot tags? Excuse me? Yes, exactly. And that is because it's array, right? Because you want first element. Because they're numerous. If you're data dot tags, it would have to do because there are numerous objects, and the computer would have been like, which index you're talking about? So the value of label in the second object from the categories array of the second object. Okay, so how would I get to the second object? Excuse me? Data exactly right. Awesome, right? So data brackets 1, so it's not this object. I'm going to close that one. Second one right here, right? This ID of 185. So how would I categorize the array from here, right? So we're at this object here. Great. So get to label, right? So we're this categories, and categories value is what? What is categories? Its value is an array, right? Because you see these square brackets, right? You need to do an index. So an index of the second object, right? So I want this one. So what is of that object? Exactly. Now we're in this object. Exactly. And that would be the value. Does that make sense? Do we get how we work through that? Everyone? Questions? Then what's the value of galleries for third object in the data array? Exactly. What is data type of the value of ID? What's the number? It is a number. Right? Would have been, we note strings because of the double quotation marks, but the value of ID. So the key ID is a string, yes. But the value itself is a number. What kind of number is it? It is an integer. Right, without decimals. Exactly. So how would I get the title of the image for the 5 years of supporting U.S. manufacturing object? Anyone? Excuse me? Great. So we have data and then, right? The first object, not the second one, but we're here, right? 25 years of supporting U.S. manufacturing. So, right. how would I get to image? Great. And how would I get to title? Value is what? What is it? Array. And why it's an array? Brackets. Okay. So it has inside of it. But object has an index. What is its index? 0. Exactly. So now, which is this one object, and now I want to get to the title. How would I get the title? Exactly. Does that? Yep. Yes. Yes. Question was we needed 0 for image. Why? And that's because image, as we see here, the king, but its value is an array, right? We see these square brackets that we recognize. Anything inside that array, you have to use its index. And even if that one object has an index, and that is 0. Does that use this is because this is a real life example of how you would work with arrays and objects, right? When you're starting to build your web pages and you're like, so, hey, I want you to build an app that has like the weather of Wisconsin or the gender of Wisconsin, right? You're going to make a call to an API, which is going to go to a database, and it's going to pass you back an object. Sometimes they're massive, sometimes they're smaller, but you're going to have to look at this and say, oh, out of all this information, how do I get to the value that I want so I can put that up on my browser? And I thought that it's worth you all giving. This is actually from a Department of Commerce API. So this is a real life example. Anyone? Awesome. Break into is Pseudo Code. So Pseudo Code is a text-based detailed breakdown of what you want to do with your code. So this is when you're starting to begin to write things for yourself. Important thing to know about pseudocode is that you want to make no assumptions, because what you have to learn is that you make assumptions because you're a thinking being. A computer does not, right? So we saw with type coercion, right? We saw 5 in quotations -3. We're like, well, we totally want it to be a number. Why didn't it do that? Made it a string, right? So you cannot make assumptions. And every detail counts. So you don't want to talk about any functions, you don't want to talk about methods, you don't want any of that. You want to just literally put down a problem in English. So we're going to do the first two together. One, I want you to tell me how you think you would put something together, how you figure out this problem. I want to alphabetize everyone's first name in this room. What would be to doing that? Someone said make an array. I want to stay away from technical language. I just want you to think about this thing in plain English. Hi. So right idea, right? So you want to make it. So what is another way of saying that, right? You're like, I want to make. Great. And put in a list. Get everyone's. Right in a list. Great. Love. What's your next step? The list. So that's good. But how this list? This character. Great. Now what do you want character in each name? Right? Because letters all looking at me and I have no idea what to do with them. So you want, that's true, but you're making, so now you're making assumptions because again, I don't know what alphabetize means. How tell me how to put them in order? About the order of the alphabet, right? Think about the alphabet. alphabet, but use about using the so you want to take, right? So you like, for example, let's say, so we think you have Kelly and Lindsay and right? So we have everything we put in a list, we order that list. So we want to look at the first character of each name and think about the alphabet. How A should be the first name in this list? Use a character, right? With a good idea. Right. Greater than or less than what? Right. So we're going to think about this. First letter greater than in English before or after. Order, right? So we want to take that first character, we want to think about if it's greater than or less than, and we want to do that in relationship to the names, right? So go there, right? What we want to say is like, Kelly, take its letter, which is K, and we it against Z, right? And we say A before or after L, right? Is that what we want to do? Great. I'm going to check check first against the next name list. So K is in the list. Now what do I do with it? Right, it's before it. In the list, and we're putting in order. So what do I do? Do I there? Do I move it? Do I put it further down the list? Does it go to the top of the list? I do. You leave it. Great, Kelly. So we move on. So using our steps again, so we move to Lindsay. I should not have. We're going to answer it one. This is entirely right, and this is not helping anyone. Okay, we're like, Kelly's fine. So we move Lindsay. So we take Lindsay's name with the first character, which is L. The first letter is greater than or less than what? Excuse me. Again, say, is it greater than or less than Andy? And A, right? Because Andy is its first character. Great. And it is what? Greater than. So then what do we do? Move down. So now we're going to going down our list. So we have George. We check it against what? Lindsay or what? Before or after? It is before. Yeah. Great. That's my next name. We have Roger. We check against L. Is before or after? Leave what? Leave it alone. Group order? No. What's wrong with it? Huh? No, it's the beginning. Exactly. So we compare Kelly's to Andy, and it's after. We do. Move it down, and we can do this process. The point is that you see how detailed, right? You literally have to say, a list, take each item and go through each of them, check them against, and then do something. Make sense? And we did it without using any sort of array, without any sort of looping, or anything like that. The thing happens if I give you a list of 10 numbers, how in order? Oh, it's on my line. Yeah.
Someone said, what about using equals if something's the same? What if it was the same letter?
That's an interesting question. So let's say we something like this. And we did it in order. What would the situation? So we moved it. So Kelly, Andy, we checked. Andy, we're going to check with the next one, like Andrew. How would we against that? Right. So then we check A. They're equal. You move to the next one. And then key. Got it. And then you go to the next one and what? Y-R is all there. Move up the list. So that is true. So that's a good question. So for example, I'd given you different letters, but the same thing happens in programming. If there's an equals, sometimes you have to go further into the detail, right? You have to go past what you think you would actually begin with. So if a list of 10 numbers, how would we put them in order? Right. I'll give you 5 or yeah. So here we have 5. How to order? How to instructions to put them in order? You compare. So let's say first number to second, right? Okay. So what happened? So you compare them. Wait. If be specific, if what is greater or less? Great. So then if the great, if the number is greater than the second, move it down. Is less than what? And for example, we did the first number. But let's say, for example, I had, no, great. Does it work? Does this make sense? Run the entire program without writing a single line of code. And we typically want to approach writing code, right? You want to put it in language so then you can break that down into things that you can build. So with that, since you all made friends earlier today, and for those of you who are late, you didn't make friends, and that was unfortunate. I want you to turn to someone, and I have 3 different examples. I want you all to choose one, and with each other, I want you to pseudo code how you figure this out, how you run this program. You can meet friends. You can do by yourself. and do the lovely moment where it's going to tell me what to write. So sheer code. Right, the minions are excited. Do number one. Who did? So literally, you're going to tell me everything I'm going to write out. Go. Second. Was your list of words. I want you to capitalize the first letter of each word.
Good. Create the list of words. Okay. Second, letter each word. To see if that letter is capital. An if-then statement. So if it is capitalized, then leave it and go to the next word. Leave it alone because you keep looping through. And then, of course, if it's not capitalized, capital letter, and move on to the next word.
Love that. That's so cool. Oh, number two. Anyone? Great. We're going to skip that one then. Handle number three. One. Yeah. Three choices, and what do you do? Article number two, I like it. So the question, they hand you a grade book with 10 grades in it. If a grade is greater than 60, print pass, else print failed. Tell me what's happening.
The grade, first number, see if it's 60. It's greater than 60?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. If right fail. Next.
Greater than 60, I write passed, and that's the end of it. When she said less than 60, you write failed. Then move on. Or did I put that in the wrong spot?
Hold on.
You said if it's greater than 60, write passed. Failed.
Okay.
So there's things. You can move on to the next number inside of the greater than 60, or do you want that to happen outside of this entire if statement? And so the computer's going to get this and says, if we follow this code, it says, if it's greater than 60, write pass. If less than 60, write failed. Move on to the next number. So if I'm greater than 60 right now, it writes pass and then stops. Right? The next number yet. So what to do is say, if it's greater than 60, say, if it's 60, write passed. If less than 60, write failed. And then once this entire thing is done, move on to the next number, right? Does that make sense? So there are two approaches. So the thing is always flexible. It's always like which way you want to approach it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Look, so if I did the same code, this. Get the first number. If greater than 60, write pass. If less than, write failed. And then when it's done, move on to the next number, which is different, which is different than saying if greater than 60, write pass, move on. If less than 60, write failed, move on. Does that make sense? but it's important. And this is also what I was going to bring up, is the issue of indentation in your code. Because when you look at both of these, saying, this is happening, do this, right? And if this is happening, do this, right? Read this makes sense. Same one at this bottom in line 64 through 71, sorry, line. You're saying 60 do this, if less than 60 do this, and once these are done, move back out and move on to the next number. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when writing code, indentation is really important and key to making sure that it's clear and readable. Questions? Yes?
Of syntax that you have, which one would take less time?
Two, between 55 and between 64,
right.
Two different approaches.
Because on the first one, you're telling it to just go ahead and not proceed with the next one. But next set, you're telling it to go through each of them.
Right. So the reason that you're using with massive, if it's having to do like massive amounts of computation, these things be relatively the same. Doesn't whatsoever. So what this is going to come down to is like who you are as a developer, right? If really it's, both of them are going to work, and it's about how you thought of it, right? So what's been really important when you think about coding is that everyone's going to approach a problem differently, and that like if efficiency is going to matter once you move to larger things, for something simple like this, it really doesn't matter. Your question? Yep. Awesome. Yes, ma'am. Question in the back. Ooh, so good. So the comment was, the reason she said equal to, because right now, if 60 is a number, nothing happens. The computer doesn't do anything, which means I failed as someone who was listening to your code, and that's my fault. So we're going to revise our code right now and say, what am I doing right now? Greater than 60. You means greater to what? If right, so we're looking at it as a number, right? Right now, the computer, all it has is 60. It has there are three can compare it to: greater than, equal to, or less than. To evaluate the number itself. You said so changes to what? Or equal to. Right. Awesome. Online who we're talking about equals to, thank you for noticing. Said I'm going to make mistakes. Own that. So what I did was pseudo code, and now I'm going to tell you how to do that in JavaScript on both arrays and objects. So we have it is called looping, also known as for loops when it comes to arrays. What if I wanted every value in an array? That's where looping kicks in. To do, I'm going to introduce two new operators, right? So right away we have the plus sign, we have the minus and division and the asterisk and the modulus type of, and another one is going to be the plus plus, which value by 1, and the minus minus, which decreases your value by 1. So for loops work is you say for, and then parentheses, what's var I equals 0? What am I doing? Yes, and what else am I doing? I'm giving call what? What? No, what do you call it? You declare a variable and you assign a variable, exactly. So I'm assigning it, right? And I'm assigning it a value of 0. And then we're saying I, y is less than an array dot length, right? Which is the method we've used before, which tells you how many items are there. Once we're done, increment that thing by 1. Increment your incrementer by 1. Does that make sense? So walking through. So remember, we're declaring variable setting is view equal to 0, and while I is less than the array.length, do this code inside here, and then we'll add 1 to it. Right, so how that works. So for this problem, I'm going to use the Beyonce songs array, which you find in main.js again. Right? And go to JS then. All right, so first, I'm going to write a for loop to get me these elements. So, for, and then parentheses, I'm going to insert my variable I, set it equal to, right? Then I'm going to, while it is less than that length, because that's the array that we want to compare it to, and then increase it. Right, for loops. Now I want to tell it to do something. Tell me to console elements inside of it. Who will tell me? Who thinks they know how I would do that? Anybody want to give to do that? That's wrong. Square brackets with an I. Oh my God, you're winning in this game. And it's songs and I can't spell. Right, but it's not. It's going to increment, but it's not going to show me anything. How do I need to change line of code? Yeah, well, conlog. That's exactly right. Right. Does it make sense? This is one. So we're going to do it. You could literally, the question is, what is I? I is your iterator. You can name that variable anything you want. You could say var kittens equals 0, var, I don't know, like anything. It doesn't matter. You're just creating another variable, which you've done before. Just typically in code, we all recognize what a for loop is when we see that this is var equals I, when we see this setup. So it's just default, right? This is just the best practice standard in JS. But you can literally name that variable anything you want. What this is doing, right, we instantiated our variable I, set it to 0, and said I, while you are less than Beyonce songs.length, which is what? Length? What is value? Yeah. 5, because why is it 5? Because there's just 5 elements in this array, right? So it's saying, while I is less than 5, because that's the length of this array, do this code. So it says, okay, console.log, Beyonce songs. At this point, I is equal to what? It is Beyonce songs. It is the first thing. It is the first element in this array. So you're like, hey, Beyonce song 0, console get, boom, it's that resentment. Then it increments I by 1, right? That's what this I++ does. So now when it comes back, it checks it. I is equal to 1. Is 1 and 5? Yes. Comes back in and says console.log brackets 1, which is what? Exactly, printed back out. And it looped the entire way through. I want to make sure you. I plus is just simply, it takes a shorthand. So could have done shorthand rather than writing Beyonce songs and then do I plus 1. This then puts it up here and just says, take this value that we started here and increment it by 1 when you're done with this code. Does that make sense? And technically you'd be like, well, why wouldn't it increment first? That's the way that JavaScript is set up as a language. It knows how to take that information, and it knows already to insert the variable, check it against this, do this code, and then increment. Yes? Do one more. Beyond movies. So tell me how to do this for loop. Sorry, I shouldn't even read much. For loop. How? Yes. For in the parentheses. Yep. Var. Yeah. So var I equals 0. I less than. Okay. Lovely. Okay, so now, right. There. If what? Yeah, and talk to me. Number. If you want, you would totally get a different thing. Let's say we said var I equals 1. Maybe I should take this part off. Give me 1 second. Right? So Dreamgirls is no longer there. Right. Awesome. To give you 5 minutes to do. So again, looking in main.js, you're going to see that there's a government departments array that I'm going to loop through, and there's a numbers array that I'm going to do some things with. There are challenges on this. So give me 1 second. It's not just to write a loop that looks at every item in government's array. Again, if you challenge, you can do making the first a lowercase. Just a challenge if you want to. Second one is to write a for loop that adds 2 to every item and put to a new array. Hint, take a look at array.push. And challenge, if you get done with both of those, is to write a for loop that logs every item in reverse order. And I'm going to give you a little bit more time than 5 minutes. So I'll give you 8. I'll let you all go. You got a question? Yes? Yes, you could do it that way. So the question is, if I wanted to do the decrease operator, how would I use that here? Which is actually one of your challenges. We can talk about it right now. So she said to change var to equal 5. What's the deal? That's right now because you know how many things are in your array. Let's say some massive array. You are not going to spend all time trying to figure out how many things there are. So how to figure out what to set I to. If I want to go in reverse order, which means I want to work backwards, do that. Just give you that number, even if you don't know it. How would you know in your array? Length, right? Exactly. Array.length is going to tell you, right? So I set this for loop and I say var I equals Beyonce movies. Sorry, yeah, Beyonce movies dot length. If I put 1 when you asked, if I put right, this tells me right now, start this at the end, make this thing huge, right? And then what do I do from here? It doesn't less than. So I set this, I've set it to the length. So now, why is it greater than something? Is it less than something? All right, greater than -1. What I want to do? What's the next step? What? Minus. So what do I put in here? Beyonce movies, what? So we're like Beyonce movies. So so you have your Beyonce movies, but how do I tell it to give me which element? How do I spit out everything? Right. We're going to do this. Remember that it's a, right, because we still want to get to the element, right? So that thing's fine. We're just changing the math. We're just changing how to tell the computer to get there. Delete that right now, and then run it. Now, you can define. Indeed. The length is exactly right. Ate it because it started at 5, right? But for the first thing starts at 4. So what do we change? So movies.length -1. Boom. Is this how we got here? We go back. We did get not undefined, right? Because going through this loop again, saying beyond movies.length, which we know right now is 5, right? And it checks, is 5 greater than -1? Yes, it is. Okay, so then I'm going to go to Beyonce movies with an index of 5. I'm getting Beyonce movies with an index of 5. Well, what's Beyonce? What what is brackets 5? What is that? And this 4 is the last thing we have, right? As array, the last thing we have is obsessed, and obsessed is indexes. So zeros is 0, is 1, Cadillac Records is 2, Gold Member is 3, Fighting Stations is 0. I did something wrong. That's 0, Car is 1, Cadillac Records is 2, Gold Member is 3, Fighting Stations is 4, is 5. Wait. Total stakes. Oh, that's if you can. You don't have to do the challenge. That's stuff like if you get through the first really fast. Even we literally just did it. So, gonna show me their code. This is exciting. For the first one, who wants it to loop that logs every item to the government department's array? Yes. Huh? Just the
var. Oh, sorry. I pasted the var government department equal array and put 4 parentheses var I row, and then I did I.
Wait. You just forget. getting? Ah, beautiful.
Okay, bang equals equals. So it's equal.
Oh.
Department dot semi curly brace console dot log department square and
Awesome. Lovely. Getting number 2. So this is add numbers array over to a new array. Thing. Do it at you. Gonna see if you can get it. Fine? Give me 1 second.
First, I declared a new var, so var new array equal, and then bracket.
Awesome.
Just array.
Love it.
Semicolon. Then 4 parentheses. Var 0. I less than number length. Plus. And then break. New array dot push. Parenthesis. Number. Plus 2. And the console. I just sent it to the console.
So console.log.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Run it.
Didn't work.
Did I say something wrong?
New array dot array plus 2. Oh yeah, console.log should have new array.
.log should be what?
New array. Yeah.
Great. Mm-hmm. And we're at it. Those are both great. And number 3, we literally did together. Literally. Son, just for these, tell me where I messed up when I was doing this at 1 in the morning. Anyone take? What is which ball? Go. Yes, that's exactly right. In my log, it is GOV department, and that's not the name of my variable. That is a problem. Took minutes to find that. Great job. So, we have looping also for objects, which is similar. So it's the for keyword print key in object in your squarely brackets. Key is the key, and the value is the object brackets key. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Again, in .js, you have a Lemonade album. So I will paste into bin. So the beauty of objects, unlike arrays, is that you can loop through both your key, right, which is these things on the left of the colon. You can loop through your values, which are to the right-hand side. So if I want to loop through my keys, I said 4 keys. For key and the name of my object, which is Lemonade album, console key. Through my values, nothing changes about my for setup. Here, right? I just console.log my keys. I get my keys. How I get my values? So this for every key in this gives something. So for the first key in Lemonade album, give me that key. So release date. Second, right, goes to genre, and I say, give me the key for that, gives me genre. So if that's in mind, if I give me the views, how would I do that? Right? It's changing. Key underscore. So you're saying this? Does not enjoy that. Good. I like it. It's good. Again, we will all fail at this over and over. Any other ideas? So thinking is similar to your iterator in arrays, right? So if this was another thing, how do we get values in arrays using I? Right. Beyonce songs is Beyonce songs. What? Bracket. I do that because I continuously change. So we that when I have this value, key changing, right? Key is similar to I. So what value? How would I do it? This. Let's try it. Or me back to key, but in a bracket. So I like where you're going with this. What do you think is missing right now? Sorry. Wow. Here. Boom. And the key. Right? So it's similar to our iterators before. Right? We're looking at this thing and we're saying, go in here. This key is release date. So then it's going to go late album date. And it's back April 23rd, right? Part of the key, which is genre. Lemonade album genre. Pass me back. Does that see options, right? It's different because it's an object, but it has the same sort of reasoning, right? This is what's iterating on the object that you pass to it. With 3 minutes left, there's you can do, right? There's an object called phone book in your .js that you're willing to do on your own time. But not going to pass through all these lovely things and have to end really fast and say, Others that you can use to continue learning include Code School, which is what I love a lot. The lovely book called Eloquent JavaScript. And the library just purchased a lot of new software development books that you all should check out. Sites and Udacity. Hope you all have enjoyed yourselves. It will be an intermediate JavaScript class. You all should because it's going to be amazing. I just want to say thank you all for coming. That's it. Thanks.